After I realised he definitely wasn't going to shoot me, or I didn't think he was going to shoot me, I upped the fucking odds a bit. I was like, if you're going to pull the fucking trigger, pull the trigger. If not, you're all sacked.
Hello everyone and welcome to Prelude, where we feature everyday people from all walks of life who have compelling and authentic personal experience stories that they want to share with the world. And in this episode of Prelude, we feature Andy Rogers from Brighton. Andy shares with us his stories of personal life discoveries, firstly about the upbringing he knew about, and what he later found out by absolute chance. Previously an owner and operator of a string of successful nightclubs across the UK, Andy then delves into a change of scene prompted by sudden instinct and recreating himself and his path, all driven by necessity. This is a story about the mindset needed to absorb the surprises that life can sometimes throw our way, and the tenacity and honesty required in order to make the necessary changes and adjustments. So without further delay, here is Andy's story.
My name is Andy Rogers. I'm 50. I live in Brighton at the moment, but I was born in London and lived in various places in between. I spent some time in California. I was in Switzerland for a little while. I spent 5-6 years in Dallas because of who I was seeing at the time, and he was from Dallas. I knew that I was gay when I was quite young, right? I always had a bit of a problem with it. Well, I don't know if I did. I've never ever told anyone that I'm gay, right? They've either worked it out or they just never asked. Because I'm not, I guess, I don't necessarily come off as like somebody who marches in the moustache parade every year. So I grew up in London. I was naughty. I was naughty to a point. I think you get to a crossroads in life, and I remember mine. Somebody I knew had just got fatally stabbed. It was in that time of like 80s proper nasty football, hooliganism and all the rest of it, and proper nasty like people, you know. And I don't really know what happened because I wasn't there, but he got stabbed in the back half a dozen times, you know, and I kind of took stock and thought, if I go down that route, I'm fucked, and if I go down that route, I'm not so fucked. But dealing with that, like when I was quite young, and then kind of, I was always on the outskirts of it. I always keep my distance from every kind of situation unless I feel really really comfortable. But even then, it's always usually at a distance. I come from quite a well-to-do family, if you like. You know, my parents were good to me. I went to a good school. I never needed anything. I never wanted for anything. But I was always kind of aware and astute of people who didn't have much. I've been quite fortunate, don't get me wrong. But I've had, you know, it's been up and down. It's been very up and down. And I've always done everything off my own back. I found out I was adopted because I was arguing with my sister and she threw a hairbrush at me down the stairs going, "You're not my real brother anyway." I reckon I was about 10. It was never a big deal for me. It was never an issue. I was adopted and that was that. And it never really kind of was a big deal until a friend of ours, he did a DNA search online. I did the DNA test probably about 3 years ago, something like that. So I was 47 around that. I knew that I was adopted, and I just wondered whether, you know, it's like it was an easy way to do. All you have to do is just like spit in the tube, send your tube off, and something comes back or it doesn't. But be careful what you wish for. What came back is a whole massive story. And basically what happened was that my blood uncle contacted me, or I contacted him and said, "I don't know whether you know or not, but I am possibly related to you, and we're a 99.8% DNA match, which is like basically you're either my dad or a very, very close relative." And it turns out he was my uncle. and we had a few kind of backwards and forwards. It turns out I come from I got like 9 aunts and uncles. When I met him, I said, look, I'm not looking for anything. I don't want to cause a situation. The last thing I want to do, I was like, if this is going to be a big deal, please don't pursue it. It's not a big deal. Anyway, it went on for a little while, and he came back to me and he said, I've spoke to your mother, birth mum, and she doesn't want anything to do with you. She doesn't want any contact, or etc., etc. Which is fine. And I was just like, well, you know what? It is what it is. It's only my curiosity. I'm not looking for any sort of recognition or anything. It's not going to make me complete or anything like that. So we left it a little while, and he and I stayed in touch, and we are still in touch. But it turns out what he said was not true. I then get an email from a woman called Moira, who is my aunt, who obviously is my mum's sister, and she said, "Look, Andrew, that my uncle's name is Andrew as well." She said that Andrew's not entirely telling you what the situation is, and then in the back of my mind, I just thought, this is going to be bad. Like, whatever's happened is going to be bad. And we were chatting. Moira's a really, really nice lady, and we were chatting, and I explained to her that when I spoke to Julian that Andrew's my uncle. His name's Andrew Julian, and my name's Andrew Julian. But it's weird, right? He's in the UK, and I went to met him a few times. It was a bit strange. I said, please don't contact anybody, because everybody's got their own lives. They're got grown up kids. It's like fucking, they don't want some big loud nut job landing on the door going, oh, I'm your son. It's like, because it could just be completely devastating. And only from my selfish point of view, which would be curiosity, nothing else than that. Anyway, Moira said to me, she said that your mum does want to talk to you. She does want to get in touch, but she wants to let it all sink in and come to terms with it. And I said, that's great. And I remember saying to her then, look, Moira, I was like, if it's a big deal, please don't push it. Just I can disappear into the shadows. It's not a big deal. It really isn't a big deal. Unbeknownst to me, but Andrew, my uncle, her brother, had been in touch with her, doing the complete opposite to what I said to do, going, you've got to get in touch with him, you've got to get in touch with his son. It's like, I can't believe you're not doing this to him. And I had no idea about any of that, none at all. And I think his intentions were good, but the delivery was fucking shocking. Anyway, so it turns out that my mum was raped when she was 15, I think. And then she got sent away. She said it broke her heart when she got sent away. She got sent away to a unmarried mother's home for a year, had the baby, and then came back. I was adopted very young, and I know it's quite overwhelming. It sounds, and I kind of dismiss it a bit, but I mean it isn't. It is what it is. You can't change it, and it's not. It's not. I'm not searching for anything, and I'm not looking for anything to make me complete. And I know it's an horrific start, but anyway, she got in touch with me on Facebook, and we spoke, and we video chat quite a lot. And she came over because she lives in Canada. She came over, and we met at Moira's house, her sister's house, and it was like, I mean, as I don't know if you can pick up on it, I've got quite a strong character, personality. And I went into it thinking I'm totally cool with it. I can handle it. And I did, but only just. And it is the most bizarre set of circumstances you can possibly imagine. I mean, I walk in and every fucking member of the family is there. So it's not just my mum. It's just 100 people that you've never met that you're related to. My birth mum was there. Her name's Pamela. Her sister Moira, her husband, her 3 daughters. They're another half a dozen people that I couldn't tell you who they were. And they're all just looking at you like that. It's like being in a zoo. And we're all talking. We're talking about just stuff, just stuff. Very strange. Very, very, very strange. It's very difficult to kind of articulate the feeling of how familiar she felt. That was really weird. I've never met this woman before in my life. But when you meet them physically, it was very, very odd. But the second time I met, because there was a house full of people. I mean, there was loads of people in the house. So that was kind of a contaminated experiment, if you like, because there was just too much going on. And to be fair, when I left there, I had to pull over and sit for 10 minutes in the car to get my brain straight, because it was just too freaky. There was too much going on, and I'm just like, oh, fuck. But we met again maybe a few days later, and she came to Brighton, her and her husband, and her sister again, Moira, who were all great. And we had a little bit of time on our own, and she just said that I'm so glad that, you know, you turned out the way you turned out, and she thought you should think about you every day, all the stuff that you would do if you were a mum, I guess. But like, it was strange. It was really strange, and we were still in contact now. From my side, I know this probably sounds weird, but it's nice to know, but it's kind of as far as it goes for me. But I have to play it really delicately, because obviously she really wants a whole world of kind of relationship, if you like, which I'm doing, but it's just one of those things that, be careful what you wish for. Yeah, life is weird. Life is very weird, and you never know what's around the corner, or what how things are going to work out. A big chunk of my life has been late night venues, music venues, and clubs, and all things shitty. And I kind of fell into that by accident when I was 28, 29. And I never used to drink. Right? I never used to drink, never do any drugs or anything like that. I used to ride pro snowboard, race motorbike, scuba diver instructor. It was all quite clean living. Never used to go to bars or clubs. A friend of mine, who I'm still friends with now, Moira, her boyfriend at the time used to run a club, a big commercial nightclub, which was fucking awful. And he needed an assistant manager, and I think I lasted a week. It was awful. Anyway, on the back of that, I met a girl, Debbie, and we really hit it off. And she introduced me to a couple of builders, and one thing led to another, and then we ended up opening a club. All of us ended up opening a club or a bar. Anyway, it became quite successful, and then I ended up meeting a guy called Rob, then another guy called Christian, and another guy called David. He owns, I think he still owns Mahiki. We kind of hit on this theme of bars and clubs, and we ended up opening one after the other, and they were all across the country. And then the clubs got bigger and bigger and bigger, and we were pretty good at it. We had, we had some cool stuff. Had Hammersmith Palais, Brit Awards, all that kind of stuff. I mean, I could talk about it for hours. There's loads and loads and loads of stuff different. With clubs, you get an operator and a promoter, right? There's back of house and front of house, and they banned me from being on the door because I wouldn't let anybody in. I'm horrible. It's like, you meet these people at night and they're drunk, and you just think, fucking no, fuck off. You can't come in. Look at the state of you. Anyway, my problem is I've got a big mouth and I'm brutally honest, and it just doesn't necessarily go hand in hand. Especially if you've got to be public facing. I was a really good operator. I was a really, really good operator. I knew everything that you needed to do. I knew how you make money. I was good at it. I was really good at it. Front of house. I got kicked out of my own club 3 times, so that tells you everything. I mean, eventually we had 28 venues across the country. And I've seen some stuff that'll make your hair curl. Okay, one thing that sticks is okay, back then, SIA door licensing wasn't a thing. All right, so you basically all the doormen were gangsters who were run by the mafia or such like. And door companies is a really lucrative business, and it's all cash as well. So there used to be a bar in Clapham North called Boom. And I was in there one afternoon. It was when Blue Planet started playing, on BBC when they first originally did Blue Planet, and I remember that because I was watching it on the projector. Anyway, I sacked all the door staff about a week beforehand. It was the company. I sacked the company. And it's proper dangerous because they're all shit and they're all fucking wankers and they're just rubbish. And I just had enough of it. And I was like, there's going to be repercussions to this. And a week went by and I was like, oh, maybe not. So I was in the office on the Sunday in Boom, and we used to have a guy work for us called Robocop because he was a fucking nut job. He was massive, and you'd shoot him and nothing would happen. But big, covered in scars, ugly, right? So he walks in the office with his big long coat on, and we started talking like just a normal conversation. Like, why just anyway, he pulled a fucking shotgun on me, sawed-off shotgun, basically stuck up my nose. And I was just looking at him like, and I was like, if you're going to pull the fucking trigger, pull the trigger. If not, you're all sacked. So we had this bit of banter going on, and I'm desperately trying to forget that he's got this thing on me. Anyway, after I realised he definitely wasn't going to shoot me, or I didn't think he was going to shoot me, I upped the fucking odds a bit. Like the twat that I am. And it turns out, I mean, we kind of struck a deal. He was the kind of henchman for the security company, so he would go and sort out any problems. But I'm me being me and as stubborn and stupid as I am, I weren't backing down. So we got it. Eventually we got it sorted. But that's kind of an interesting Sunday afternoon in Clapham. There were people coming into my office on a Monday morning. Going, oh, do you want a line? And I'm just looking at him going, it's fucking 10 o'clock on a Monday morning. And then you take stock at this point. You just think, what on earth am I doing? You just look around and you think, okay, I want to kill all of you. So basically, I just stopped. I just jacked it all in, and then I had nothing to do, and I was terrified. Never not had a job. I mean, I'd been thinking about doing it for like 4 years. I'd been thinking about. I was like, I've got to get out of this. I literally hate every one of you so much. But money is a funny thing, and you earn a lot of money. And the money is a big draw. So you see, and you don't you get to a level. I mean, it's hard. It's fucking hard work working behind a bar, right? Working behind a bar is hard, right? Working in a club is hard. You get shit money, but the owners, luckily, you can make a lot of money at it. But I mean, it's a different time to what it is now as well. It was a little bit easier than what it is now. Now it's all big, like. Corporations you've got, you just franchise shit out. So it's like chicken cottage for the nightclub world. And I just thought, fuck, I've got to do something else. I'm like, I've got to do something else. I'm either going to die or someone's going to kill me. So I left. I put my keys down and said, I'm not coming back. Then spent a year fighting over money. And thought, fuck, what am I going to do? Because that's all I've known. And it's a very specific kind of work. There's not very many transferable skills. And I thought, I know, I'll go to university. And I was 37 then. And everybody says to me now, it's like, oh, what degree did you do? What degree? How did you come to pick that degree? And on my life, I literally flipped through the prospectus and stuck a fucking pen in it. I swear, and the professor was like, it's like a Bible, isn't it? It's about 1,000 pages, and I just went like that. I could have ended up studying Greek mythology or something. It's quite as easy to do, But luckily, what it came up on was digital media development was my degree. So I went to uni, and the course was 3 years. And I wasn't going to go because it said you had to do a foundation course, and I went to and then spoke to them, and they were like, no, you don't have to do one because you're a mature student. And I was like, okay. So I remember this day. When I went up to I can't remember what it was. It was like an open day or end of year thing or something like that. And it was the students were there, and I was sitting at a desk, and this woman was sitting next to me, and she said to me, "Oh, which one of them is your kid?" And I was just like, brilliant. I said, "I'm actually doing a degree," and she was like, "Oh, okay. Oh, I'm sorry." I mean, they were young. They were really fucking young, but I'd come from a club background, so I was used to being around fucking idiots and children, and they just weren't drunk at this point. Unbelievably got a 2-1, and that's kind of how I sort of slipped into animation, really. And again, like, pretty flukish. It's funny. I was thinking about this the other day. I was like, fucking hell. I've done some stuff for Territory that do all the big blockbuster sci-fi films. I've just finished some TV ads for Martini, and I was thinking, fucking hell, I sit there and sometimes I can't even remember doing the job. I'm doing one at the moment, and it was weird. It's like last night I was like, I was looking at it thinking, oh, that actually looks really cool. Did that, and I was like, oh, it was you. It's so weird. It's like so weird. You get lost in it. It was really good for me, and I think if you were ever in a situation, it's like, oh, fuck me, what am I going to do with my life? Like, I know it was hard. It's hard, and I think I was lucky because I wasn't married and I haven't got any kids. I think if you're married with kids and you need to change your life or career, it's fucking difficult. But I was lucky. I didn't have any kids. I wasn't married, and the only person I had to support was myself. And I, all the way through me having that degree, I was head doorman at one of the clubs in Brighton, which is another fucking experience. It's the best thing I've ever done. It was brilliant. And my dad always was he's very academic. He was always forcing me into doing a degree, and I was having none of it. I was just like, no way. But I wasn't ready. I think you have to be ready. You have to be in a certain mindset to think, right, fuck it, let's do it. And it was definitely the best thing I ever did. I got a lot out of it, and I worked hard. I mean, I was working every day as well as studying every day. I didn't even think I'd finish the degree. I'm pretty dyslexic. It was daunting. Don't get me wrong. I didn't just breeze up and like sail through. I had to work for it. But I think if you want something bad enough, you'll go for it. But there are every day there are loads of pitfalls and decisions you have to make and things you have to deal with, and like every day. For instance, I wake up. One of the first things I do is read the news from around the world from probably 15 different websites, so you don't get all the same fucking bullshit. And very, very rarely is there any good news around. So you don't know. There's no guaranteed outcome of how that is going to affect your day. What I'm trying to get to is like, you don't know when you said you don't know that that's going to happen. You don't, but you just make the best of what's thrown your way, I guess. I don't regret the nightclub era because it makes you who you are. There are certain things that have happened in there that maybe shouldn't have happened. It's definitely made you learn of a lot of things. You learn about people. You learn how to deal with difficult situations. You learn how to deal with basically life and death. You learn about people's personalities. Up until I was about 30, I thought I knew, well, no longer, probably yesterday. You think you know everything, but at the end of the day, you don't know anything. Like, you draw an experience as you get older, and I'm 50 now, and I've drawn, if I'm in a situation, I make this, I'm stupid enough to make the same mistakes over and over, but it's only because that I give people the benefit of the doubt, if you like. I never used to be like that. I used to be really fucking hard-nosed, cutting, and I think all of that adds to what you become as a person, and what you bring out of it is every situation you've experienced, you're going to take a little bit away from it. And the person you become, hopefully you're better than you were yesterday, if you like. And I think what you learn is that you only ever really have half a dozen really good friends in your life, and they will stick with you for forever until you go. You're always, you should be open. I'm probably the worst person to say this. I think you should be open with people, and you should give people the benefit of the doubt. But I think my problem with that is because I've spent so much time in clubland, you instantly make decisions about people, which are wrongly or rightly. But at that point in time, you've got to make a decision whether they're coming in or not coming in. They're going to be a problem. They're not going to be a problem. So you take all these little bits of experience and hopefully grow into a better person and try and leave the world a better place than he found it.
Thank you for listening to Prelude. If you've enjoyed this episode, please support us by leaving a review, subscribing to the show, and following us on our social media channels, links to which you can find through visiting www.preludeaudio.com. And we hope you will join us again soon for the next episode of the Prelude podcast.